Hi everyone, welcome back to the Market Mic, where creativity meets community. And today we're turning the page literally. We have a very special guest, a booksmith, Valerie Wolf.
And also known as Protea Paper and Lace on my Facebook page.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, so this is exciting. I'm very happy to have you here to tell us a little bit about all of these amazing things that you do. I mean, these are literally works of art. And you know, I told you, I'm a big fan. And anyone who comes into the market just totally loves your work.
That's really good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I wanted to ask, what exactly is a booksmith?
Just a creator of books. My books are journals, so you can write in them. I don't journal, but I own a couple of my own books that I've created, and I've done some swaps with other creators or bookmakers or booksmiths. And I use mine for passwords, or you name it, whatever I want to remember, I guess. So even if you don't journal, you can get use out of one of my journals, aka a tome. And what a tome means is this is a tome, this is a tome, this is, and this is. The smaller books are like little journals or books or whatever, but what a tome means, it means a specialty book, something that's special.
So your password book at home, is this beautiful?
I did not create my password book at home. I swapped with another booksmith, and it is beautiful. And we ask when we swap, what we do is we ask each other questions like, what's your favorite color? What do you like? Like for me, it's my favorite color is purple. I love dogs, horses, cats, animals, that kind of thing. And then she incorporated that in the book that she created for me. Mm-hmm. And I asked her what she liked, and she named her favorite colors blue, and she likes gypsies or whatever. And I created more of a boho style book for her.
So it's very customizable.
Oh, it's actually customized. When you do a swap, that means it's for that particular person. Or if I do a commissioned book from a customer, then that means that is personalized just to you. You tell me what you want, and I create the book.
I think that's wonderful, because you could actually customize it to a special occasion, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, a wedding. This would be a beautiful wedding gift.
I've done wedding books before too.
That would be beautiful. So let's talk about what you brought in today. She brought in pieces of the process of making a journal. So do you want to walk us through some of these processes here?
Yes.
So you make everything starting at the cover.
Typically, yes, I start with a cover, because sometimes when I start a cover and I don't like what it looks like, I kind of trash it and I start over. But like, for instance, these books here, these right here, and these two covers are hand cut. They're not a refurbished book. And I'll show you these in a minute, but this book is a vintage book. I think it's this cover is 125 years old. And I have gutted the book, and then I've put in my own pages, my own digitals, but I've used the original cover, which is very old, and it's a very beautiful book. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're fine.
Then just turn her over and see, look at that beautiful book. And this is an old book. I think this one's 125 years old, the cover. I clean the covers when I buy them. Believe it or not, I use Windex, but it doesn't harm them. I mean, they're pretty durable. That's why they've lasted all these years. But how I start my journals, first of all, I create a cover. And like, this is what the cover looks like. It's nothing to look at, it's just no big deal. This one I created using a napkin. This cover, kind of the same look. This one I created using tissue paper, and that's what you see, the crinkling. I don't know if you can see, if it's picking up here, but that's tissue paper. This I just pushed some modeling, it's called sort of like a modeling paste. I pushed that through a stencil and then dried it and then painted it.
That's wonderful. You even make the designs.
So then when I start the pages like this, what I start with is I choose whatever digitals. I do not create my own digitals. I purchase them from really gifted creators. And oh my gosh, I couldn't tell you how many people I work with. But I start out and I pick the digitals I want for each signature. And I'll explain that in a minute. Then I create the signature. I decide how many pages I want to a signature. So I put them in like this. I just add them in, whatever. And these are just basic, but I fold them differently. I use different size papers a lot of times. So now I have these pages and I've created a signature. So my next step is I want to make a signature block. So this is my signature block. Put this over here for a minute. So in this case, this one has 5 signatures. See how they are? And see, here's an example. This is a different, see, I folded it in different sizes. I tore that piece off so it looks a little raggedy because I want this one to look real vintagey. And then notice that there's wings here. This is just a piece of vintage fabric I tea-dyed. And I hand sew each signature onto the fabric. So then when I open the book here, and then what I'll do is, when I'm ready to actually glue this in, what I will do is I've also tea-dyed sort of like a gauze or anything that's gauzy looking like that. Some, you know, even Halloween fabric, you know, you see that at like Dollar Tree. Whatever I want the look to be. And then I glue that on top here so that does not, the stitching won't show. It cannot be harmed in any way. So then when I glue it in, I glue it into the book using just the wings. I don't put any glue on the spine here because when I do that, that's called a hollow back book binding system. And because this isn't glued in, the book, when I open it, will lie flat like that. Otherwise, it's going to do this. I learned that the hard way. So that's how I do it.
And that's really important because as you start putting your photos or start journaling in the book, it builds up and it gets thicker and thicker, and you want that extra space in the binding so it actually will close.
And then the easy part is this. Once this stage is done, that's the easy part. The hard part is decorating every page. And some of the books have 180 pages. You count the pages just like a normal book, you know, 1, 2. So 180 pages is a lot of pages to design and decorate. And you know, you can kind of see through these how they've been decorated. Little flippies and pockets I add. And I wanted to show you, this is a little digital. This is called ephemera. And what that means is this is, sometimes there's flowers, whatever little goodies or pretty little things that you cut out, which is called fussy cutting. You cut that out and you glue it to a page. Like for instance, that I fussy cut and I glued it out, glued it onto the page, and that's ephemera. And so from this came this. So this is just a little envelope, and all I did was fold it. I haven't glued it yet, just so you could see that that's how it starts out, and it ends up looking like an envelope. And that's pretty much, and then I just design each book based on what my creative juices come up with. Or, you know what, I get a lot of ideas watching other journal makers. That's really wonderful. And you know, all the greats, I mean, we're talking the great artists like Da Vinci, you know, people like that, Michelangelo, they all copied from each other, so there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're thinking of getting an idea from what you see here and you want to make your own book or tome, there's nothing wrong with that because that's what all the great artists did. Not that I'm a great artist, but you know, when you think of Da Vinci and you know, all of those, even Salvador Dali, although he, you know, I mean, they're all wonderful, but they get ideas from each other. So.
And that was my next question is how do you, because you have several books in the market, it's like some are geared towards, you have like ones that are geared towards witches, ones that are geared towards Italy, you have Christmas books, you have just very like lacy books, you have the steampunk. Just, you could go through, there's so many different, see, she's got these little surprises in there. I mean, down to like the paper. You stitched. Tell us about the stitching.
This I do on a sewing machine. I just have a cheap little Brothers sewing machine I got at Walmart. And, but I do hand stitching on some of the pages too. It depends. Like, because this is steampunk, I don't think I did any hand stitching in this book because steampunk isn't vintage. It's not, you know, lacy and, you know, cutesy. It's more bold and, you know, you want that to look all mechanical and that kind of thing. So I didn't do any hand stitching on this one.
That's cute, that little.
Yeah, that's a little, what are those called? The old time, remember you laced them
Girdle?
up. Sort of like a girdle. But
We just had this conversation the other day. It's not a girdle. What is it?
I
They're actually coming
We'll
back.
think
I
of
think
it as soon as we walk out of here.
A lot of people are wearing them.
like a bustier.
Yeah, there you go, a bustier.
And that's just a little, so if you notice like on the back and front of the book, you see this. This is called a embossing technique, but there's different embossing. Sometimes you use embossing powder and a heat gun. This is just pressed on. This is cold, what's called cold embossing. And once I did it, I took furnace tape, covered some paper, heavy paper, and then once that was done, I put it through, I got like it's called an embossing folder. It's just plastic. You put it in there, and then you run it through this machine that squishes the folder onto the paper that you put in, and that gives all that three-dimensional shape to it. And then I painted it black, and then I rubbed some of the black off, and that's how I got that look. I don't know how well that comes in, but that's how I achieved that. And it's on the front and the back of this. This is a little bit better. You can probably see that better since it's bigger, and I haven't covered it with a bunch of ephemera, except for these, to look like, you know, they're hinges, just to make it look more steampunky.
So the attention that you pay to detail is just amazing to me.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It really does shine through in all of your journals. You even hand dye like all of these papers.
Yes.
You were telling me. So tell us how you hand dye the papers. I know that that's a process in itself.
There's different methods that I use. When I started out, I hand dyed with coffee, and then I would try to get the pH better because coffee's so acidic, and I was adding baking soda, and I didn't know how much to add, and I didn't want to buy testers. I wanted my books to last for long years and years. So I switched to tea dyeing. I still add a little bit of baking soda to, you know, lower the pH so that the pages don't disintegrate. But like for instance, like this page here, I let this tea steep for a long time and more tea bags, and then that's what makes the darker color. Then like this one, this page, I don't know if you can see this line there, but that's achieved by not using quite as many tea bags and not steeping as long, and layering the paper over each other so they make lines on the paper so it looks like layered papers, but it's really just a dyeing technique, I guess is the best way to describe it.
So like I said, the attention to detail is just wonderful. Let's talk about some of the uses so these are actually journals that they're already created, that makes it easy for you the consumer to jot down
to write your thoughts.
Yes.
To, you know, you could use it as an appointment book. You can use it like I mentioned earlier. I put my passwords in mine. But you can do whatever you want. I've made so many special order journals that for people who actually do journal. But I also, when I do a commissioned book like that, I'm making sure to tailor it to that person's likes and needs and hobbies and whatever. But you know, how the book is used is up to the person who owns the book. Maybe you have better ideas than I do, you know, so however you want to use the book.
You can use it as a photo album.
Yes, you can. I do make photo albums as well, but these are more difficult and they challenge me creatively, so I do not really make photo albums anymore. But you can, I put pockets in, you can definitely use these as photo books as well.
These are actually things that can be passed down from generation to generation.
They could.
They're a keepsake for sure. This would be a really wonderful gift for, like I said, a wedding. So they can journal their wedding or even their beginning of their life together.
baby books.
I
I've
was
made
just going to
baby
say
books,
a
yep.
baby book. This would make an amazing baby journal. You could even have it custom made. You would custom make them a baby journal if you wanted like a certain theme. Let's say if somebody likes Winnie the Pooh, you could do
Absolutely.
it all geared
Yep.
towards Winnie the Pooh.
And I use
There's
different
even
types.
vellum. Yeah,
Yep,
see,
there's
that's vellum.
I use parchment paper, homemade, handmade papers, just whatever I find that's unique, rice paper, just and heavier stock paper and lighter stock paper. It just depends on what I'm going for, what look I'm going for. Also, I want to mention, whenever I make a book, as these two are with vintage, oh, this one's not, I'm sorry. This one is with the vintage 125-year-old book cover. The copyright page that tells the age of the book and the title is always included somewhere in the book. So you know you have documentation that that book is that age. And you know what the copyright and what the author probably, a lot of times the author might even have the name of the book. So it might be like I don't remember what this one is, but one I have, it's a Civil War book or something, but there's nothing in that book about Civil War. I just love the cover itself. It was vintage, it was old, and I wanted to pull that into whatever I was creating and making the journal into, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Where do you get your older books? Because I know that old books are hard to find.
Hartville Flea Market.
Oh.
Or garage sales.
Yeah.
My husband and I went to an estate sale, and we were just walking around. I happened to look on a shelf in the basement, and there was this old book, and I haven't done anything with that one yet, but it was so old, and it's falling apart, and it was so gorgeous. And I could have jumped up and down when I found that book. So
you were so excited.
Yes, because those old books.
That's your best find?
Yes, it was. I think that one is about 150 years old.
Okay.
So when it comes, whenever I haven't even thought about that one yet, but.
And I know I have asked you this before, but I have to ask for you guys. Do you feel terrible? Like, what about taking an old book and tearing
Not
it
at
apart
all.
and repurposing it?
I do not feel bad at all. Nope.
Because you're bringing it to life. You're giving it a second chance.
That's true, yes. And a lot of times too, I will use those old pages from the original book to do what's like a collage on one of the pages, or just something, like, for instance, this one, I think in here somewhere you will always find, if it's a vintage book, I will utilize a page or two of that book into one of the signatures. One of the books, the very huge book that I have at the shop there is from Charles Dickens books, two Charles Dickens books that I vandalized and made into a lap book. And it opens, and it's there at the fair trade that you can check it out, just look through it. And there's a lot of pages from the original two books that are in that one.
Is there any book that you made that was like an oopsie book and it ended up being like really good?
Almost all of them. Here's what happens a lot of times. So if you're a new bookmaker and you get, I'll start, like, for instance, this one, I'm absolutely not happy with this one, because I just threw it together so I could show everybody for this podcast exactly what my process is. But, like, say I think, oh my gosh, I just don't like this page. I'll just put another page over top of it, and now this is going to be a big pocket. Or sometimes they don't live up to my expectations, and I think this one's just not going to make it. But once I'm done, I'm like, oh, I really do like this. This turned out great. But I don't give up. And also too, the cover isn't really going to look like this when it's finished. There might be a big metal piece on here. There might be gems. I might do a stripe of like a gold wax paint down, like this one is. See, this one already has the gold stripe.
I would say all your covers always have some sort of embellishment.
Yes.
I mean, everything is just over the top. It's
Thank you.
just beautiful work. And
Yeah,
tell the lace the lace is even vintage. She even uses vintage laces.
Yes, I always get my laces in garage sales or flea markets because I want them to look old. I don't, you know, like one antique shop, I found a tablecloth and it had stains on it, and I loved it. I washed it, stained it, you know, tea stained it, and now it's beautiful. This one, and then I cut the, like another thing is vintage hankies, women's hankies. A lot of antique shops have those, and if they're the right price, I will buy those and I'll cut those up. I vandalize them, you know. So I call it.
If someone wanted to get started into journal making or booksmithing, what do you recommend for someone to get started?
Well, it depends on what level you want to be. When I started out, my cover was a piece of cardboard that I, if I can even remember, it's been 14 years since I started making journals. But I think I probably painted it and covered it with something. But the spine, these are handmade spines that I've cut out. They're just a little bit lighter they're not cardboard, but like book board than this. This is heavier board than the spine because I want the spine to be kind of round. I kind of lost what I was saying here. What was I going to tell you about the?
How to get started if you wanted to.
Oh, yes. So I actually used a paper towel roll and cut it in half, and that was my spine when I started out.
Okay.
And then just kind of hid that, you know, with some fabric or whatever. But watch YouTube videos because there's, like I said, with the famous artists that learn from each other. You'll get into communities, join Facebook groups, and you'll learn from others. But I will tell you, I have spent a couple $100 taking paid lessons. I went to New York to see a book making session, you know, for leather. You know, but did I have to do that to create books? Absolutely not. I didn't have to spend any money. That's just the road I wanted to go with this. But, you know, if you're making, because I thought eventually, well, I got so much inventory, I wasn't making them to sell them, I was just giving them to everybody. So I could do whatever I wanted. But once I, you know, if there was a whoopsie, oh well, it was free. But once I decided to, you know, offer my books to someone that's gonna pay for them, then they had to be a little more professional or a little perfect in my eyes. So that's why I did some paid courses and went to New York for that. And a lot of people do, and a lot of people don't ever do that. Some girls, there's a couple men out there too on YouTube you'll find, but a lot of the girls that I follow, one in particular in Canada, she was an artist painting. She started out painting, and then somehow she, you know, got into journaling. She never said how she did. She wasn't someone I took a paid lesson from because that's not something she offered. But I'm just saying, there you go. She's so gifted, although she doesn't make books anymore, but her videos are still out there. And she changed her name, so I'm not sure what her name is now. But anyway, I was heartbroken when she decided she wasn't going to do it anymore.
What is your favorite takeaway from the New York trip? What did your favorite? Running
through New York.
Oh.
They just basically what they did, the book, it wasn't a class that I went to. It was at the Upper Manhattan, the main library in New York, and they were just showing how these women they were foreign women, and they were making all leather book journals. But just to see their process and how they glued their signatures or papers in was different. I don't use that method because honestly, their method is not as detailed as mine. There's no hand sewing. It looks very generic, but it was just something I wanted to see, to experience it, I guess. But I was in New York anyway, so it's not like, you know, I paid a lot of money to learn something, you know, and then not use that technique.
Well, it's always nice to see someone else's technique, and then you have your own, and you can combine the two, and you always come up with your own technique.
Yes.
Well, Valerie, thank you so much.
It
was so wonderful. Of course, you know I love your stuff.
And I love your shop.
Yes,
it's so wonderful to be there and work with you.
Oh, thank you.
I've enjoyed it, so.
Awesome. Valerie Smith, or Valerie, Valerie Wolf, the Booksmith.
Thank you. Bye.
That was great. minutes to spare.
And how long did we do it?
5 minutes to spare at 30 minutes was 25 minutes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure she did
Did
it
it go
for a
fast?
half hour. Yeah, it did. It